No spoilers in today Clair Obscur Expedition 33 video. Hail and matches, it's me, Spud the Kid, and if you get any struggles in the game, you won't have after watching this video, because I will give you build for every single character. Fast, strong and fun to play. Let's start with Gustave, because he's the first character you will be available to play in your expedition. And I will go with all expeditioners in order they arrive in stories. So if you don't know who is the next character, just stop watching after this part. Gustave is extremely cool, powerful, but also we will build him as pretty tanky guy. Gustave's mechanic is Gustave Overcharge, and basically most of the skills will provide you with overcharged charges, and you can get up to 10 points. After reaching 10 points, overcharge skill will be extremely devastating. As any character you will be available to pick 6 skills, and these combinations we will use as Gustave. So first of all, our basic combinations that will be available to us right from the get-go. It will be Lumiere Assault. We will be available to deal 5 hits using weapon elemental attack, and with critical hits we will generate additional charge, which is good, considering we already will be available to generate bunch of charges using this skill. Also, you're generating charge every time you wait, use counter attack, parry, basically by a lot of stuff. Lumiere Assault will be nicely used to break enemy shields, because shields will be broken every time you damage them. For example, this enemy's got 2 shields right now, and Lumiere Assault costs just 3 action points. For 3 action points I can break 5 shields or make a bunch of extra attacks and extra damage. And while you can use overcharge when it's not fully charged, actually you want full charge. This can break enemy stun meter, it's this little yellow bar below their health. If it's full, you can use overcharge and stun them, but most of the time enemies will be obliterated by overcharge itself. At full charge it's dealing devastating damage and basically erases enemies from existence. However, while this attack is extremely powerful and can delete enemies, sometimes enemies will be resistant to lightning damage. That's where comes our next skill. Combination of Lumiere Assault and Overcharge is enough to deal with most of the enemies, and technically you don't need other skills. But of course, we got a bunch of slots left and we're adding Marking Shot. So Marking Shot is great, you deal low single target lightning damage, but applying mark. Pretty useful because it costs just 2 action points, and for 2 action points you will be available to give extra power for your next attacker. When to use Marking Shot? Basically, when enemies get some awful stuff that you need to shoot with your pistol, yeah, then you will use your action points, shoot some bullets around yourself, add some balls most of the time, and then you can use Marking Shot, so the next ally will deal a lot more damage to target. However, if target resistant to your lightning damage and overcharge is a bad choice, we're going to the next and last skill we use. It's Strike Storm. It uses 7 action points, so it's quite a big of investment, but it deals very high single target damage, 6 hits, use your damage element from your weapon, and you can generate more charges. Again, you won't need charges against these enemies most of the time when you're using Strike Storm, but again, very good against bosses and powerful guys. But still, my opinion on Gustave is pretty simple. He cool, he will have his role in a team, but he's kinda doing everything that other guys can't. So sometimes you're not using Overcharge because a lot of enemies is actually resistant to lightning, especially in early acts with Gustave, so it's better to power up your allies. That's where comes next skill, Powerful. You will apply Powerful to allies, give you charges, so basically you can buff your allies, and then if needed you will use Overcharge to break and stun enemies. And last but not least is From Fire. From Fire is really cool too. You deal medium single target damage, doing 3 hits, and if target burns, you will heal yourself by 20%. So that's kinda nice stuff to sustain our health and be tanky, and that's the main purpose of Gustave in my party. That's why we need to talk about weapon first. So weapon choice is pretty simple. You want to make sure your weapon get nice scaling in vitality. So from early weapons, Abusaram, Lanceram is the best choices. Yeah, you can go with any other weapon you like, but my choices, especially for early game, is weapons with vitality. If your weapon scales with vitality, you also will gain a little bit of attack power when you're leveling up vitality. And take a look at my ability distribution. I'm basically all in vitality, and we can have a little bit of agility to have more speed, a little bit more defense. Basically defense comes from agility too. When you're leveling up agility, it gives you a little bit of defense, a little bit of speed, actually a lot of speed. But by getting lots of vitality, we're getting lots of health, a lot of survival, and basically you can play really bold and try to counter-attack every attack. You will have enough health to sustain it. And all of this goes into my picked choices, of course. So So that's the 3 pictures I chosen to wear on Gustave. First of all, I'm using Confident. That's the skill you don't want to use actually if you're healing yourself a lot of time, but I'm not finding myself healing loads of time in a battle, so this is really big. Basically it makes us take 50% less damage. So right now I got more than 1k HP, especially early in the game, and this makes our effective HP basically doubled. It's insanely cool and powerful. Getting more health is also a smart choice, so Pictus that provides health is something we want to choose and have in our arsenal. Energizing start is the pick basically, and honestly all you need in this game, especially throughout the campaign, to have a nice and fun time, a little bit more health. If you don't have enough health, you will be one-shotted most of the time, and other team members will need to use reviving abilities, reviving potions basically, and they will lose their turns, and it's just snowball out of the control. But when you get 3 healthy allies, it's a lot easier. So health is the key. If you're surviving, you can fight. If you're not surviving, you can't fight. It's just as easy as it is. And also action points. If you don't have action points, you're just doing basic boring attacks, and most of the time you're just losing momentum, because using skill will give you ability to just mark targets for more damage, burn them, stun them. Basically it's just snowball effect. When you're not using your skills, that's kinda bad. And last but not least, versatile. So it gives a little bit of speed and critical rate. It's not like extremely powerful, and I could pick any like Pictus that gives more health, but sometimes it's just useful because in most cases I'm using especially Gustave to shoot enemies with my pistol or enemy weak points. Therefore, shooting weak points, we're losing a little bit of action points, we don't have ability to use our abilities, and we're doing base attack, and this will make our base attack hit harder. And this makes completely obvious my choice of active Pictus. I got marking shots to have ability to apply mark on free aim shot, burning shots for same reason, we can burn enemies when we're shooting them with our pistol, augmented attack will increase damage of base attack, and dodger will gain 1 AP on perfect dodge once per turn. That's very good. Basically AP is the king, as you know, so we can dodge 1 attack, counter 1 attack, get 2 AP, get a lot of shots, mark enemies, burn enemies, and do normal attack with extra damage. We don't even need skills. And that was Gustave build. And the next character you will find is Lune, and that's her mechanics. What is so important to understand how she works. Whenever you use any of your skills, you have a chance to consume specific strains. I will just call them effects, and they can enhance abilities. There are 5 different types: ice, fire, lightning, earth, and light, and light can work as any of other 4 types. So to use her efficiently, you need to use her abilities in a smart rotation. And when you're leveling Lune, I like to start from the left part. Basically we always start with Ice Lance and Immolation, and that's already a nice combination. Ice Lance will deal ice damage, slow target, and give us 2 elements, ice and light. Then Immolation can consume light and generate fire element to burn down target with extra damage, and we can start rolling. So that's my skill tree I'm using right now. In early game, it's definitely smart to level up Electrify, because it uses just 1 action point, and you can basically use it every turn, and it generates 2 lightning elements. And we can use next really cheap skill, Mayhem. It uses all elements you already gathered, can break stun if all 4 strains are consumed, and deals high elemental damage. So basically you can charge it with any elements and deal really nice damage. In early game it's very nice, but also I'm using still this in the late game. Now let's take a look at my skill rotation. Basically that's our basic skill combination and rotation. We start with Ice Lance, slow down enemy, deal ice damage, generate ice and light. Then I'm using Wildfire, fire damage to all enemies and ignite all of them. We basically burn them down. And funniest part, Wildfire will consume double charges and give you fire and light charge in exchange. But at turn 3 you probably will run out of AP a little bit. That's where comes thermal transfer. If target burning, we will regenerate 4 AP by doing ice damage in 2 hits and generating 1 ice charge. And that's basically full rotation. At full rotation we will have ice, fire and light charges, and it opens up my ultimate abilities, yeah. And there's 2 of them. I'm going for Lightning Dance, and Lightning Dance is insanely cool. We're dealing very high single target lightning damage, 6 hits. It basically melts down targets, melts down bosses, melts down everyone, and if you land a critical hit you will deal even extra damage on top. and if you consume earth, ice and fire charge, damage will be greatly increased, and we get exactly these charges. So that's insanely powerful stuff. We will gain light and lightning charge in exchange and can continue on the next turn with wildfire to generate all 4 charges, basically all 4 elements, and then finish down with mayhem if needed and break stun. So mayhem is still one of the skills I'm using. However, there's another option, and if there's loads of enemies, Stormcaller is a great choice. It will consume just 2 charges. It needs 2 fire charges, but we got fire and light basically, so we can use it, and all enemies will receive this lightning damage at end of their turn and low lightning damage when they receive damage. My other builds will deal loads of extra hits, lots of extra damage, and this Stormcaller actually scales insanely well. It basically gives extra damage to all your allies, to yourself. It's just so good. So let's take a look at our weapon, Lightning. All my builds today will use weapons that you can get very early in the game. It's something that you probably will find on your first fight or in the next few fights. At level 4, your skills will cost 1 less AP, and that's what allows us basically generate elements non-stop and generate loads of AP by not using loads of AP on our fire skills in rotation. At level 10, we will get increased fire damage. Still, we're not using loads of fire skills, but we can use Immolation 2 times, basically our fire skill 2 times in a row, generate loads of fire charges, and then use Mayhem with fire charge. And that's pretty crazy and pretty big. Coolest part comes when it levels up to 20, basically when you advance to the last act of the game, you will start battle with 1 ice stain, and therefore you can start battles with fire element, and this weapon is defense and agility scaling. So that's insanely cool and stuff that we want to use. We want to act as much as possible with this character to stack a lot of debuffs, a lot of burn, a lot of lightning debuffs with our ultimate attacks, and agility is what we need, a lot of speed, but also we want a lot of critical rate, and critical rate comes from our Pictus. So that's the Pictus I'm using right now late game-ish Pictus, but basically ideation behind them is to have health. As always, health is the key, so at least 2 Pictus should have health. Also we want to increase our already really high speed, so one of them should have speed, or 2 of them should have speed, and critical rate. So when you're picking Pictus, just look on the stuff that they're giving. You want to have more health, more speed, more critical rate as this character, and I just choosing here Pictus with very high numbers, high level right now, and they're just powerful, so as Luminous they will cost me a lot. It's cheater to play twice in a row, just extremely OP when you unlock it, but it's pretty late in the game. Still, the main thing is to understand idea of the build, therefore you will understand how to play it, and you can pick your Pictus when you're leveling up by yourself. Warming up will just increase damage per turn, it's just overall good Pictus, and burn affinity, increase damage on burning targets. Again, pretty self-explanatory. We will burn targets a lot, they all will be burning, and we will have increased damage on them. Now let's take a look at our all luminous, and I will explain what they're doing, but basically it's pretty like standard safe choices for every character. It's Source, Power, Rush and Shell. Basically when we fall below 50 health, we will have more power, we will have more speed and more protection. Very powerful. I found it recently, double burn. When we apply burn, we apply a second one, and we apply a lot of burn, and generally speaking you again want AP generation all the time. Therefore energizing start is a great stuff, and most powerful is energizing turn. You gain 1 AP on turn start. Basically instead of 1 AP every turn you gain 2 AP, and this gives you ability to never stop combinations. This can be achieved and found especially pretty early in the game, and that's definitely what you want to use. So that's my full snapshot of my build basically if you want to have it. But here's a little tip when you're leveling your Lune. I really like to level up Vitality to around like 10, 15, 20 points early in the game, so we have a little bit more health, a little bit more survival, and then level up my stats that scales my weapon, agility and defense. This creates really balanced and cool characters that will destroy enemies. But Maelle is a really lady who can completely destroy enemies. Her mechanics looks pretty complicated, but in reality they're pretty straight and forward. She starts fight without any stance, and while using her abilities, she changes stances. In defensive stance, you will take less damage and you will gain 1 AP on parry or dodge. Very nice stance to generate AP basically. In offensive stance, you will deal more damage, but take increased damage. In virtual stance, you just deal a lot more damage. If you change stances, you also gain an AP, so she kinda never runs out of AP if you play her correctly. If you use base attack in offensive or defensive stance, you will switch to opposite stance. But if you switch to a stance you're already in by using skills, you become stanceless, which doesn't give you any benefits or penalties. And there's 2 skills you want to aim when you're leveling her. First skill will be over here, Burning Canvas, and the next one will be at the bottom part, Sword Ballet. It's insanely powerful. Let's take a look at all combinations and how we play. So my Maelle plays through Virtuous Stance. Yeah, it's kinda smart and pretty obvious to play in offensive-defensive rotation, but I don't like it. I like to unleash millions of damage. My biggest hit I made with Maelle before even reaching end game was around 3 million. It's completely ridiculous how powerful she is. So the first skill will be Spark, and it's just important and you just need to have it in my opinion. It costs just 3 AP, it will change you into defensive stance and you will deal low damage, but target will be burned. So that's kind of main idea of the skill. To start in defensive stance, so we can generate more AP for our powerful attacks with our parries and dodges, and also burn down target. We need to burn down target for our next skill, Swift Stride. We're dealing low target physical damage with 1 hit, but switching to Virtuous Stance if target is burning. Also we regain 0 or 2 AP. That's pretty good. Again, we'll switch to Virtuous Stance and probably will get AP no matter what. Another skill, Perse, or something like this, it's in French. Anyway, we deal medium single target physical damage. Medium damage is already pretty good, 1 hit. If target is marked, and again, our allies, as you know, can apply mark, we can deal even more damage, but that's pretty self-explanatory. But also in Virtuous Stance, instead of costing 5 AP, it will cost only 2 AP. And this basically creates our rotation. We try to make our target burn with Spark. Sometimes our allies will help with this, and basically we alternate between Swift Stride and Perse. So we're dealing some damage switching to Virtuous Stance, and then in Virtuous Stance we're just unleashing insane power, switching back to defensive stance, so we're not taking lots of damage and can generate AP. What are we generating AP for? Basically for our another part of skills. And another part of skills will contain Burning Canvas. That's one of the skills I told you want to focus on, you want to get here as fast as possible. Burning Canvas is insane. You deal high single target void damage. I'm not sure is void from weapon or not, but again it's just powerful skill, and you will apply 1 burn per hit. Damage will increase for each burn on the target. Again, this scales insanely with our parties that can apply burn, so if target got lots of burn, it's also dealing nice damage, and it switches to offensive stance, which unlocks ability to basically switch between Burning Canvas and Swift Stride. We switch between offensive and virtuous stances, and we're basically becoming boss melter, enemy melter, completely battlefield obliterator. However, there is even one more skill that will increase our damage and give us nice ability. If we're using Swift Stride, we're switching to Virtuous Stance. But if we're in Virtuous Stance and we got some AP, we can use Flared Fury, dealing high single target physical damage, 3 hits, and if we are in Virtuous Stance, we can stay in Virtuous Stance, and basically we can continue using only this skill, deal high stun and break the stun eventually. And overall strategy is to actually get a lot of AP anyway, somehow, and cast Sword Ballet. Sword Ballet is just insane. You're dealing extreme single target damage, 5 hits, critical hits dealing double damage, and we're switching back to defensive stance, so we're becoming a little bit more protective and can get back our AP. This skill costs 9 action points, so it's pretty hard to get to, but if you manage to, it's definitely worth it. This is our damage dealer, but still, you can't do damage if you're not surviving. Therefore, weapon I'm choosing for Maelle is again with vitality, but also with luck. We want critical hits, we want survival. That's what I'm looking for when I'm playing Maelle. My pick is Maelle, but there's a lot of swords for her to choose from, and again, just look for something with vitality and luck. Maybe luck and agility, maybe luck and defense, it will also work. But Maelle is the best pick, so especially for my strategy, because at level 4 allies will recover 20% of health on switching to Virtuous Stance. That's insanely powerful stuff to make your allies survive more, because again, strategy relies on using Virtuous Stance. Then at level 10 we apply Sciel when health is above 80%. That's also nice, because again, we start battle, we're using Virtuous Stance as fast as possible, and in Virtuous Stance we want to keep our health high, we want to keep our survival high. Keeping this health above 80% is nice, and Sciel will provide us with extra defense. And at level 20 it gives ability to switch to Virtuous Stance when health falls below 50%. Again, it's kind of nice quality of life stuff. Basically, when someone hits you and you are not in Virtuous Stance, you can start doing your combinations in Virtuous Stance. Pretty nice and powerful stuff. This leads us to Pictus, of course. And my Pictus is pretty simple. I'm using high health Pictus energizing parry. It gives so much health that I basically don't need health on other Pictuses, and I'm using speed and defense there. We're basically destroying our enemies to the ground, so what we need to care about is our health, defense and speed. We want to attack more, we want to have more protection and more health to survive more attacks in case we mess up our dodges and parries. For Luminous, for this party, I like to use just critical burns on every character most of the time. Increase critical chance on burning enemies, enemies will burn most of the time. She applies burns, double burn is a smart choice, but it's late game-ish, you won't have it in early game. But in early game, what you want to care about is basically stuff like Dodger, gain more AP on perfect dodge, energizing start, 1 AP on battle start, and basically you want all available abilities that give you more AP and more damage to burning targets. Scaling, extremely simple. If you're playing someone with vitality scaling, just make sure you go all in on vitality, and then half of it goes to second attribute like luck, for example, in my situation. And as much as all of you probably like Maelle, my favorite damage dealer is actually Sciel. Yeah, Sciel is just too good. She melts not just enemies, she melts wall screens. And it's extremely easy and fast to level up her with all needed ability. Her mechanics can actually scare you at first, but actually everything is pretty simple, especially with the build I will show you. So technically some skills will apply foretell with 10 maximum, and these skills will generate sun charges. Other skills will consume foretell and generate moon charges. If you get sun and moon charges at the same time, you will consume all of them and enter into twilight state. It will last for 2 turns and you will have increased damage depending on how much charges you aid. It will double foretell applied with skills, and maximum foretell will be at 20, not at 10. That's the skill tree you're looking for when you're playing Sciel, but most important skills is the Sealed Fate and Bad Omen. So when you get over here, you will be completely broken, and when you reach Dark Wave, it completely melts all screens. So first combination you basically get from the get-go. We get Focused Foretell. It deals medium single target physical damage, 1 hit, applies 2 foretell. But if target has 0 foretell, then it will apply 3 additional, basically 5 total foretell. And basically you want to use the skill to just apply foretell. That's it. Then you combine it with Sealed Fate. It deals high single target damage, up to 7 hits, use weapon element, and each hit can consume 1 foretell to deal 20% more damage. Critical hits won't remove foretell, by the way. So that's basically our combination on single target, and that's how to manipulate and maximize this. After you cast Focused Foretell, followed by Sealed Fate, you will enter into Twilight state, with a little bit better damage and stuff. But to really maximize potential, you actually want to spam Focused Foretell few times, and you will gain bunch of sun charges, like 2 or 3 probably. Then you cast Sealed Fate, enter to Twilight, and you will enter Twilight with like 4 total charges. It will increase our damage by around like 150 to 100%, and basically with a lot of foretell on target, we will just deal insane amount of extra damage. So then, my next combination is used against multiple enemies. So when you fight versus one enemy, we're going with previous combination. When there's a lot of enemies on screen, you just go with Bad Omen. You deal low dark damage to all enemies, 2 hits, applying 2 foretell per hit. So 4 foretell total to every single enemy. Coolest part, foretell never depletes, so basically it will stay on enemies, and when you change targets, they will be with foretell. And also we will finish them with Dark Wave, deal high dark damage damage to all enemies, 3 hits, consume all foretell to increased damage. That's like the coolest part. Basically combination. Bad Omen followed by Dark Wave will deal insane amount of damage, you will switch to Twilight state, and then you will be able to deal and inflict double foretell maximum. Followed by another Dark Wave on second turn of Twilight to completely destroy screen. I got 2 extra skills, not using them a lot, but still in a long fights they sometimes see a light. Basically it's Twilight Dance, deal extreme single target dark damage for hits, and during Twilight we extend Twilight for 1 more turn, consuming all foretell to deal additional damage. Again, basic combination will be something like focused foretell, sealed fate. If you got 9 AP, go with Twilight Dance, extend Twilight, focused foretell, followed by sealed fate, then in Twilight apply foretell with focused foretell again, and then finish with Twilight Dance to deal insane amount of damage and extend Twilight for 1 more turn for any other skill. Or there is another option is Final Pass. Again, it's very nice if your characters will have ability to break targets, to stun them basically, and Final Pass exactly for this. If you need stun, then you just gather up your 9 AP and deal extreme single target dark damage, applying foretell, and can break them. The secret to this playstyle is our weapon, and you get this weapon when you just fight one of your first enemies as Sciel basically. It's extremely easy and you will get it right from the get-go. It's called Chaton, something like this. Again, our best attributes: vitality and luck, ability to critical strike without insane damage, and ability to survive damage with extra health. That's cheats basically for this game. Chaton is extremely powerful, and most powerful come from level 4. That's most broken part about this weapon. Some skills always apply 10 foretell, but all damage taken is double. Basically we're building glass cannon. Yeah, we will take double damage, but we apply 10 foretell. This means in 2 turns we basically can erase screen, or all screen can erase us. It's high risk, high reward, and extremely fun to use weapon. But if you're bad at dodging enemies, it's not a problem. I will fix it with Pixes and Luminous. Chaton at level 10 will give you ability to use base attack that will give moon charge and consume all foretell to apply burn. Again, sometime you won't be able to use your AP and you want to go into Twilight state no matter what. At level 20 you will get 100% increased burn damage in Twilight state. Our Luminous first. So there's a lot of Luminous. I basically go all in on Sciel. I just drop all Lumina points on her, and as you can see she got loads of Luminous. But basically confident is the way to go. You will take 50% less damage but can't be healed. Again, who cares about heals when you can erase screens in 2 turns? You just need to make sure you're not getting one-shotted by enemies. So confident is a great choice. And that's it. You don't worry about healing this lady, you just go and destroy everyone. Other stuff is just basically everything that will increase our damage. I go with Roulette. Roulette is insane. Every hit has 50% chance to deal 50% damage or 200% damage. I like to gamble a little bit, and this in combination with attacks that doing like 5 attacks, 7 attacks in turn completely destroys everyone. We don't care about this 50% most of the time. Most of the time we're doing some crazy damage. Basically we're going with every ability that can give us more AP on battle start, more AP on turn start, and I'm using glass cannon just for fun to deal 25% more damage but take 25% more damage too. Inverted affinity, very nice pick also. For first 3 turns we getting 50% increased damage, and when you're going to the late game parts you will start noticing there's a bunch of problems. Again, we will start to take loads of damage. Therefore, when we're choosing our pictures, we want to focus on health. Again, we want as much health as possible, but you will find these powerful pictures like Second Chance to revive with 100% health once per battle, Energizing Cleanse, dispel first negative status effect, receive some AP, and Glass Cannon is my pictures of course, gives me some speed. And there's 2 more characters you can meet in your expedition. And we will jump to Verso. Yeah, Verso is extremely cool. I want you to write in the comments what you felt when you first met him and that he will be in your expedition, but let's build. So Verso will take a role of guy with high vitality and defense. Therefore I will start build with explanation of weapon. Weapon will be Dualisa, and this is extremely cool to use build. So what I actually felt first when I found that Verso will be in my party, I was like, oh geez, I need one more build. I was so satisfied satisfied with all my builds. I don't want to build anything extremely complicated. And Verso mechanics is pretty complicated. While on the first glance it's super easy, you just gain perfection every time you deal damage or manage to parry or dodge. High perfection gives you more damage, and some skills will be basically relying on your perfection run. Super easy on paper. But hey, look here. We got skills that basically doing not big damage, but in rank B it will give more damage. Some will deal increased damage in rank C, some will lower your rank, some will give you higher rank, some will cost less on one ranks and cost more on other ranks. Basically there's so much ranks and stuff, and it's extremely hard to control. But I managed to make a build for Verso that gives us ability to always stay in rank S and deal insane amount of damage while also supporting our party without any skills and melting your own brain. So let's take a look first of all at our weapon, Dualisa, and you will gain this weapon basically when you unlock Verso right from the start. This weapon is pretty straightforward, vitality, defense, so we get more health, more protection when we scale it, and you just want to go all in on vitality and some defense. Very good for this tanky dude in the party. And look at bonuses. Level 4 will provide us ability to play second turn after we're doing base attack. So this kinda invites us to do basic attacks and play second turn. On level 10 we get 50% increased base attack damage, and then on level 20 base attacks will give us more perfection. So basically it will be a lot faster to gain S rank, but it's also available to gain S rank at level 10 or around it. So I will show you skills and then I will explain how you will gain S rank. My first skill is actually Ascending Assault. You will deal low single target damage, one hit, and you will have increased damage at each cast. It costs 5 AP, but it will cost just 2 AP at rank S. Basically the idea is to gain S rank as fast as possible and then just spam this skill if you got one beefy target, like a boss for example. If it's not a boss and there's a lot of different targets, you just need to clear them fast. After reaching S rank, we're going with follow up. Again, 5 AP cost, but at rank S it will be 2 AP cost, and you will deal medium single target light damage, but damage will be increased for each free aim shot this turn. That's kinda the secret where we're going for. Still, extra skills. Phantom Stars. Deal extreme light damage to all enemies, 5 hits, can break stun, cost just 5 AP at S rank. Basically, all main skills is something that will rely on S rank. And I'm adding a bunch of supportive skills. Sometime we just use him as supportive guy. So we got powerful that will apply powerful to your allies. At A rank, duration will be increased to 5 turns. Again, very nice, because instead of just extra attack, we can get to A rank, we can cast powerful, and our allies and we will have extra damage for 5 turns. Very powerful stuff. Also got perfect recovery, just in case we need to dispel some status effects or maybe heal ourselves a little bit. And when enemies attack us, we actually lose our rank. So again, when we lose our rank, at C rank we will heal 100% health. Very useful to heal ourselves when we are low. And last but not least, leadership. Not using this a lot, but still it's nice in some situations. We reducing current rank, but giving from 2 to 4 AP to other allies. It's useful to just give ability to our allies to attack more in case we are useless in a particular battle basically. So this build kinda makes no sense without correct pictas, and that was most important. So what I'm going for is full strength, increased damage on full health, and we will be on full health most of the time. We're basically unkillable with this build actually. We're getting sniper, first free aim shot each turn deals 200% increased damage and can break. Extremely broken, basically when we shoot with our pistol we can break enemies, it's completely bonkers. And attack lifesteal. We will recover 15% health on base attack. So for pictas, basically I'm not focusing on particular like stats on them, but I'm looking for pictas that will cost me more luminas if I pick them as luminas basic, because other stuff will just cost completely laughable amounts. Take a look over here. Basically what we're looking for is everything that will increase power of our base attack and our range attack. So weakness gain will give me AP when hitting enemy weakness. Again, enemies will have these balls that will basically be weaknesses. We can shoot them and we'll regain our AP. We can shoot as much as like we wish basically. Versatile will give us ability to inflict even more damage with base attack after we shoot, and basic playstyle, as you can see, we're basically shooting all bullets, then attacking, then shooting more, then attacking, and that's it. You just shoot, attack, you don't need to like use any brain power with this character. We're also getting staggering attack, increased break damage on base attack, SOS power, gain powerful when falling below 50% health. This is extremely powerful on Verso because you will probably fall below 50% health from time to time, but we will regain this health in just one turn thanks for our attack lifesteal. Our basic attacks are so powerful and they're basically regaining 15% health on base attack. So you know, we're doing one attack and I'm using combo attack 1, base attack has 1 extra hit, and we basically regain 30% health on base attack. But then we take it one more turn and regaining the health again. So it's just unlimited power and unlimited loop of extreme damage. And again, basically we're using all the stuff that give us more AP. We're getting +2 AP when dealing damage to a marked target, and we can mark target with our shots. So we most likely will mark target with our shots. We will regain AP, do more shots. With basic attack we will expose them with more power thanks to empowering attack for next turn. Basically, you see this on the screen right now, it's completely broken, and everything that will just increase damage of base attack and increase damage of free aim. That's what we are going for. But there is one more character in Expedition. However, to get built for this crazy dude, just watch video on the screen right now, because he is fun and he is on completely another level.